Welcome to the Woman Up podcast. My name is Natasha Digi and I'm your host. Today we are talking about sex and intimacy. Our guest today is a relationship intimacy coach, speaker, and author. She helps busy women and married couples learn how to communicate, understand expectations, build self-esteem, and create intimacy in their relationships. Debra, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I'm really excited about the topic today because it's a hot topic and I've been looking forward to this.
Well, I'm here to serve. So bring on the questions.
Debra, for people who do not know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. I am Debra B Hamilton, your relationship and intimacy coach. I have over 40 years of being married. Full disclosure, I was married for 34 years and it'd be 7 years, my second marriage in November. I know all about the ups and downs and all arounds of marriage because I've been there, done that. And that's my purpose of why I'm so strong in helping married women to succeed in their marriage because marriage is hard work. Marriage is one of those situations where we're trying to get to know each other, trying to blend personalities. And sometimes there are disconnect, and it could be based on childhood trauma. It could be based on what your perceived thoughts of what marriage is supposed to be about. But whatever that might be, sometimes we run into issues. And I'm here to help to make sure that I can help guide and lead you through your process of marriage. And that's what I love about what I do because it's all about helping you. I wanted to say this starting out, everything starts with you, everything. And I want to be clear about that because we always look at other people for fulfillment and for ways in which we could be happy, but it starts with you. So my main focus is with everything I do is to make sure that you're looking at you first before you can look outwardly. So that's what I want to say.
That was so well said. I can already feel like you, not only it's your expertise, but you went through it. So you come with experience professionally, but in your own personal life. Let's just dive right in. And my first question to you is, what are some common misconceptions about female sexuality that you often encounter in your coaching sessions?
There's so many women who struggle with sexuality, not knowing themselves. And one of the misconceptions that some women have is the fact that it's okay to touch yourself. It's okay to find out what your pleasure is, right? I mean, sometimes we don't know until we explore ourselves, right? Or until we have a partner that's willing to explore our sexuality with us because of what we've been told in the past that you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and how some women even feel like sex is taboo, right? So they're not
Still.
really, yes, still, and not even allowing themselves to relax enough to really enjoy it. And some people feel like, if I enjoy it, is it right? Am I supposed to? Yes, by all means, please enjoy it. And that's what I love about being an intimacy coach because I really go into detail about how you can learn about yourself and how you can do different things, different positions, just different things that you could do personally that is going to help you through your process of, the intimacy within your marriage.
One thing I want to address right away, because we know, and I think you agree with me, that a lot of women talk to each other about their intimacy and sex problem between each other, but they're not um, addressing it to their partner.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you, because you just mentioned about they feel bad about pleasuring themselves, and what are your thoughts on toys and stuff like that? Like, how is it affecting their intimacy with their partner, I guess. What are your thoughts on that?
If they are only being fulfilled through that, personally, I feel like it's a personal decision. I won't say you should do it or you shouldn't do it. I think it's a personal decision. But if you're relying more on your toys than you are on your spouse, there's a problem. And one of the
Right.
things that I talk about in my married women's, so I have a married women's forum that I do, and I also talk about it in my book that I have. And one of the things that I talk about is making sure that we talk about our expectations, right?
Mm,
What are our boundaries? You know, and these are conversations that we really should be having before we get married. But if you haven't had that conversation, you need to discuss what you want, what you like, what you don't like, right? And also talk about it in a calm environment. Don't wait till
right.
you get in the bedroom to discuss what you like, what you don't like. Have that conversation outside the bedroom, right? And I talk a lot about intimacy and how there's so many aspects to intimacy and how you have to have all the intimacy outside the bedroom before you
Right.
even get into the bedroom, right? So it's to me, it's just a matter of making sure that you're having that dialogue, that you're talking to your spouse, but you're finding a safe, secure, calm environment to do it in. You know, and that's one of the things that we as women struggle with as well, because we just want to have the conversation. We just want to go ahead and just jump in. Men are not made like that. Men need to be able to relax and chill and have a conversation. I always say have a conversation within a conversation, right? So
Hmm.
while you're having this nice, calm conversation, you can always add a, hey, babe, oh, by the way, you know, I was thinking about this and I was thinking about different ways in which we can enhance our, you know, our sex life, right? That is how you can come into the conversation without worrying about offending. We can always say, hey, babe, hey, honey, whatever your endearment is with your spouse, and approach it in the sense of let's have some fun, or let's think outside the box, let's do something different, right? So those are
Hmm.
the things that I recommend that people do instead of just jumping right in, like most of us. A lot of women have a tendency to just jump right into the conversation. But the toys, your choice, but the toys are not to replace your relationship with your spouse. Let's be clear. They should, and actually, you know, you should be spending more time with your spouse than a toy.
Definitely. So what would you say? Would you agree to say that intimacy starts way before the bedroom, or how can they create that how can they cultivate that intimacy leading to their moment? What would be an example?
Okay. I have lots. So
Ooh,
one of the examples that I have is to reminisce. Reminisce about when you were dating. Reminisce about, you know, your wedding night or an exciting evening that you've had together. Uh, Cuddle, kiss, watch a movie watch a movie together. Dance to your favorite song. And I have to tell you this story. One of the things that I did with my husband recently is we were in the car and my favorite songs came on. And I decided that I was going to pull over to the side and say, and I did this. I said, babe, just go with the flow, go with the flow. He was like, okay, what are you talking about? I was like, jump out the car with me and dance with me, right? So we jump out the car, we listen to the music, and we're dancing. It's all these little ideas, spontaneity, things that can really help your relationship. How about cooking together, right? Having that intimate dinner at home or date night. Date night is very important. And if you can afford to, go and spend the night at a hotel. When we're at a hotel, we're loose, we're relaxed, we're doing all the things that we might have, you know, stopped doing because life gets in the way, kids get in the way, and the status quo. But if you just think about all those little things that you did when you were dating, when you were first married, because everybody's so excited when they get first married, but then everything winds down. But it's all these things. Like my husband and I, even though we did that, we still dance in the house. We cuddle up and watch movies. We kiss and we touch. All these things is intimacy, right? And
Mm.
having a conversation, just a regular A and B conversation. That's the intellectual piece to intimacy that sometimes we forget. So it's all these things that can make a difference before you get into the bedroom because you're feeling good before you get there.
I like that. I'm hoping you guys are listening and taking notes because I think, well, I am personally, so I'm very excited to continue this podcast with you, Deborah. And in a world filled with distractions, how can couples keep the spark alive and prioritize intimacy?
Uh, Put the electronics away,
Ooh.
have a conversation versus looking at your phone or focusing on television, your laptop. And I'm as a coach, I'm busy. I'm always doing something, so I have to remind myself to put away the phone, walk away from the laptop. I did it before I even came on today. I was busy trying to prepare to get some things done that I'm working on. And it hit me. It's like, okay, you've been away from your husband for a minute. Go and reconnect with him. Go and have a conversation with him. Check in with him. Make sure he's good while you're busy doing everything else. So that is so important to check in with your spouse. And the other thing that I talk about is observing his body language.
Mm,
Sometimes about that. Observing his body, like really looking at your spouse to see what's going on with him, how he's feeling, what are his thoughts. And that was part of my book talks about active listening, right? And active listening has to do with not only what they're saying, but also what is their body language saying to you? Because a lot of times they might not say anything, but it's their body, it's their facial expression. Are they crossing their arms? Are they looking away when you're trying to have a conversation? Are you looking away? Are you looking at your watch?
exactly.
Yeah. Are you pinning your feet? What are you doing that could be causing them to feel like you're not paying attention? So put away those electronics, please, at least for 15 minutes. I'm not even saying an hour. I'm just saying at least 15 minutes and focus on your partner. That's so important.
Talking about paying attention, what role does communication play in creating a fulfilling sexual connection? And how can couples enhance their communication skills in the bedroom or elsewhere?
Well, one of the things that I said previously, we can make things fun. We can make things relaxed. We don't like, even if we have something serious to talk about, we don't have to approach it in a serious manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking to each other. We're being playful. My husband and I, we play all the time. We're being silly, right? So that creates that relaxed atmosphere, right? And then when you go into the bedroom, you can also still be playful in the bedroom. And I really truly recommend that. Be playful in the bedroom. Make sex exciting. Make sex fun. We get into a habit, a rut where everything is routine. How about having sex in the living room, in the kitchen, on top of the washer and dryer? Do something different. Do something that you would normally do that could spark that relationship, that could spark that intimacy, that sexual tension that you're looking for. But you have to think outside the box sometimes so that you won't continue to have a status quo relationship, that you can actually find ways in which you can build up that relationship. And everything I do, I talk about all this information, and there's so many more things to talk about with this. But to keep that spark alive, it sometimes it could be the simplest thing. And it can be different for each couple too. We can't all do the same thing when we are trying to be intimate, when we're trying, new sex moves or whatever. Each person is different. So I could spend a lot of time talking about it, but I like to individualize what I do with each couple or with each woman that I work with, because everybody is different. But there's so many ways to keep that spark going before and inside the bedroom or the kitchen or the living room, wherever you might decide to do it.
I'm loving what you're saying because these are so cliche as like the in the washing area in the kitchen. Women are shy, and I think they have a fear of instigating the moment. Could you just discuss the impact of self-confidence on women's sexual experience, and how can they voice voice what are their desires and their needs, the wants? Because I think it takes confidence and being, I think, bold in some type of way to say to speak up about what you want.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's why I also have a program called the Confident Wife Method, right?
Ooh.
That what it does is it makes you look at yourself, find out what your wants, what your needs, what your desires are, right? You make sure that you know you. And I say this to people all the time. How do you know what to ask for if you don't know yourself, right? We sometimes we grow up in an environment where we're just told to get married, right? And we don't have the sexual conversations that we need to have. Well, you need to understand yourself. And I mean, not just ourselves. We all know ourselves. Do deep to understanding who you are, who you want to be, and where you want to be in your relationship. What do you want from your relationship, right? So it starts with you. Everything that I do, and I said this before, it starts with you. It starts with you making sure you know yourself before you can expect someone else to know you. So make sure that you're working on you, that you are trying to understand what your wants are. And everything is about simplicity. Sometimes we make things too complex. If we only talk about what we want, what we need, but we're doing it in a way in which it's a turn off to our spouse, then it's not working. But when we come in a playful manner, I do everything in a playful manner. Like you have to have this relaxed atmosphere to get so many things accomplished, right? So I come in a playful manner. My husband, like I said before, my husband and I play around with each other. We have a good time, and that spark stays there. But come at things in a calm, loving manner. But you have to know what you want before you can ask for it. Hopefully, I answered that question for you.
Definitely, definitely. And I think it's very, very interesting because at one point I think you just have to break the ice and just say what you mean and not overthink it. I think that's one of the challenge as well for busy women. They tend
Hmm?
to bring that serious toughness energy back home, and I think it it does work in it does play in their mindset, and so they can't relax. So everything brings they bring that serious energy that I think the communication makes it very hard to exchange and all that. I'm not married, but I'm speaking from what from what I've seen and heard. um Anything you want to add on that, Deborah?
Well, you know, communication is only effective if the person that you're talking to is really hearing you,
Right.
right? You have to make sure that the person, and that's where that active listening comes in at again, is because if we are actively listening, we're listening to understand, not to respond. And that is the biggest issue most people have. We are so busy listening to respond,
Right.
not listening to understand. And when you understand, it's up to you to make a decision what you're going to do about what your spouse is saying to you. Are you going to be willing to make changes? Are you going to be willing to at least acknowledge the pain or whatever they're going through? Are you going to be able to acknowledge that? And I talked about all the different facial expressions. When it comes to men, they want a safe haven. That's what they
A
want.
safe? Can you
And
repeat that?
and I have a safe haven. They want to be able to
Okay.
come home in a safe environment where they can share their deepest, darkest thoughts, right? And in my Married Women's Forum last night, we talked about what do you bring to the relationship, right? And one of the things that we were talking about is, are we a safe haven for our spouse? Do they feel comfortable sharing with us their thoughts and their needs and their wants? And if they don't, then you're missing out on so much. You're just totally missing out because you're not allowing them to be in an environment where they feel like they can talk to you. So the biggest thing that I want to share is that men are so simple. And ladies, I hope that you hear me when I say this. Men are so simple. And when you make things complicated, or when you make your household a household that's not conducive to the relationship, men will struggle, men will stray. And it doesn't even mean that they want to or that they meant to, but men are looking for someone to talk to that is willing to listen to what they have to say, willing to understand who they are, right? And one of the things that I said last night, everything that we want, we want the protection, we want the comfort, we want the love, we want the understanding. Well, guess what? Men want the same thing. They might not even tell you that, but they want it. And that's where you come in and understanding what their needs are. And part of my confident wife method, it talks about the first pillar is understanding the real you. The second pillar is understanding him, right? And I have all these questions. I have workbooks for this, and it's asking you all kinds of questions so that you can really understand your spouse. And then the last part, of course, like what we're talking about, is effective communication. So it's all these things wrapped up into building yourself up first to be able to feel comfortable having a conversation, right? And then being able to understand your spouse. And then on top of that, incorporating all of that into effective communication. But so all these things are very important, and I hope that the information that I'm sharing today is really going to be beneficial, because if you take in what I'm saying, of course, suggestions. I don't tell anybody what to do. I am making suggestions on things that they can do to improve in their marriage. However, it's up to you. It's up to you about what you want to do and how you want to handle things. And like I said before, every couple is different, every marriage is different, and you have to take what can work for you and leave the rest behind. It's up to each individual.
I want to ask you a little kinky question, a little
Okay.
spice. What are some lesser known erogenous zones that couples might explore to add excitement to their intimate moments?
And that's different for every person too. But most people don't think about the stomach around the navel.
What? I would have never guessed.
Exactly. Exactly, right?
I would have
So
never guessed.
the stomach can be the erroneous zone. I can't even say the word. Okay, the zone, right? It's that touching of the stomach. And men love you rubbing on their nipples and sucking on their nipples. Men love that, right? So it's all these little things. And that's what exploration comes in at, right? Being willing to relax enough to be touched and to touch, to find out what those zones are that are exciting to each other. But you'd be surprised how the stomach, I have several women that talk about the stomach and how the stomach um, turns them on when their man touches them a certain way around their stomach and around their navel. And I know most people would think that people think about the ear, they think about the neck, And for women, they think about breasts, but all women are not excited from the breast, right? Um, so you have to just explore. And I think that's just the best way to say it. Just explore. And I said this in the beginning, explore your body. It doesn't mean you're going to use toys. Just touch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just and find what turns you on when you touch yourself. So when you're in the room with your spouse, you can say, "Oh, babe, I found another place. I want you to touch me." And you explore, it becomes adventurous, it becomes fun, and it keeps the excitement going in the relationship. But those are the couple that I wanted to talk about that you would be surprised about. So,
But would you say that the navel is just because it builds that expectation, or just because, or is it because there's a sensitive part?
the navel is a sensitive part for some people,
Okay,
so stick your tongue and go all over.
go ahead, please. Unfiltered. Go ahead.
Stick your tongue in the navel and you go around the navel, that's erotic. That is, that's a turn on when
Right.
or and the other thing is some people are into oral sex, I don't know, but and I'm talking about husband and wife. But even before you get there, that area right before you get there is very sensitive. The corners are very sensitive, right? So it's for those who don't like it, I'm not advocating it. I'm just, throwing out ideas. For those who might not want to do that, touch the area before you get to that point, and that can be very sexy as well. So it's everybody's different. Everybody is different. So you have to choose and figure out what's good for you.
In your experience, how can women overcome body image issues and develop a positive relationship with their own body, which can ultimately enhance their experience?
Stop comparing themselves to other women. Stop looking at the magazines that tell you this is the size you should be, this is the way you should look. Stop it. Use affirmations to tell yourself how beautiful you are. You're gorgeous, you're wonderful. You are God's creation. So constantly look at yourself. I don't care if you got a fat stomach, big fat thighs, they're yours. They're yours. Own it. Because when you worry about what other people are saying, what other people think, then you lose the fact that you are unique, that you're special, that you are loved. And we have to think about the people who love us. Are they looking at our bodies? Are they saying, I can't love you because you look like this? Maybe you have a big nose or you have big lips. Maybe you're dark or maybe you're super light. No, they're loving you for you. And don't
Exactly.
and I want people to understand that the people in your life love you for you. And it's that self-confidence, it's that self-love, it's that self-care. I teach all of that too, that you have to look at when it comes to yourself, when it comes to realizing that you're special and that you matter. You matter. And no matter what you look like, touch the body parts you don't like and just tell it that you love it. Just tell it. I love this about myself. I love me. I love my arms. I love my neck. Just go down the line and talk about how much you love yourself. Because, like I've been saying throughout this whole process, everything starts with you. And you have to learn how to love you. Because, let me say this, people will treat you the way you treat yourself. Let me say it again. People will treat you the way you treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're abusing yourself, if you are not taking care of yourself, that self-care that is so important. If you're not doing that for yourself, you're in a relationship and that person don't see you doing it for yourself, they're not going to do it for you. So you have to show the men in your life, the people in your life, how to treat you. Always remember that because people treat you the way you treat yourself. And a lot of times we don't get that. So love on you no matter what. I have body parts that I go, oh, I got to change that. And then I change the dynamic. I change the thought process. I'm like, ooh, I love this. It's on my body, so I love it, right? We have to start doing that. We have to change that negative talk that we have in our brains, and we have to stop it in its track and change the topic, change the way we look at ourselves, change the way we talk to ourselves, because we are constantly talking to ourselves in a negative sense. So we have to be really careful with that we don't become negative to ourselves, because when we mistreat ourselves, we're giving other people permission to mistreat us as well.
I like that. Self-respect, guys. Ladies, that's what we need. That's what you need to implement in your life. So before we're wrapping up, I just have a last question really quickly, Debra. What is your legacy, and what do you want to be? What do you want people to remember you for?
My motto is just be kind. And I want people to remember the fact that I was kind, that I was loving, that I cared about you. People to understand that when you're in my presence, that's how I make you feel. I make you feel wanted and needed. I make you feel like you are an important person. So that would be my legacy, for people to understand that I am here for them, and they know that I will do whatever I can to help them through any processes that they have, right? So that's my legacy, and that's how I operate, because I want people to feel like I'm their safe haven. Every time you're with me, it's a safe space. And that's what I would say.
I love that, and that's exactly how you've been making me feel all for this past few minutes. I'm going to get your book because I need to be educated. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Debra, for your time, for allowing us to have that conversation. Where can can people find you?
I am on Instagram. Nurture Your Love is my handle. So you can always go to Instagram, Nurture Your Love, and all of my information is there. But I am promoting a masterclass that I'm doing, and it's the Intimacy Blueprint Masterclass, which goes into a lot of detail about intimacy. And I take you, it's a 2-day process, it's only for an hour, 30 minutes for questions and answers, but it's really the things that we were talking about today, it's really gonna help each one of the married women that I work with to really understand what intimacy really is, how intimacy can help us, and what are the things that we can do to help ourselves as well as our marriages. So I just want to throw that out there as well. And I think you have my link to that as
I
well.
do.
The Intimacy Blueprint Masterclass. It's going to be on August the 28th and 29th. So hopefully people would be interested in that. And we can go in deep dive with whatever questions that you might have about intimacy. And also, I'm also open to do one-on-ones for people who really want to go into more detail about it. But I hope that people be interested in my masterclass on intimacy. So
I'll be definitely sharing. I'll be definitely sharing all your info. Thank you guys for listening. You were listening to the Woman Up podcast. Until then, woman up.
You were listening to the Woman Up podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please hit the follow button, share it on social media so we can send you a shout out. To get information on public speaking coaching with Natasha DG, reach out by email at contact@natashadg.com or by phone 514-558-5777. Thanks again, and I'll see you on next one. Until then, woman up.